Ever think parenting couldn't get worse than what you see on reality TV? Wait till you hear about the TikTok mom who spends thousands on designer bags while her teenage daughters sleep on an air mattress. The same mom who broadcasts her relationships with convicted murderers to millions of viewers and has her young daughters call these killers daddy. Listen, I don't usually cover stories that make my skin crawl this much, but what's happening with these two teenage girls is too serious to ignore. Their mother has turned her life into a non-stop TikTok live stream, exposing her kids to dangers that would make any reasonable parent's blood run cold. If you think I'm exaggerating, stick around. By the end of this video, I guarantee you'll be as disturbed as I am. Because this isn't just about bad parenting, it's about a mother who seems willing to risk her daughter's safety for TikTok donations and prison romances. Before we dive deeper, take a second to hit the subscribe button. I cover true crime cases that mainstream media often overlooks, and your support helps these important stories reach more people. So let's talk about Melissa Wilson, a 36-year-old mother of two from Texas who's gained notoriety for all the wrong reasons on TikTok. Before we dive deeper, take a second to hit the subscribe button. The rise of a TikTok train wreck. Melissa first came to public attention when she started documenting her life on TikTok live streams. At first glance, she seemed like just another mom trying to build a social media following, but viewers quickly noticed something wasn't right. While most parents on social media try to present their best selves, Melissa's streams painted a troubling picture. She would broadcast for hours, sometimes neglecting her daughter's basic needs in the process. In one infamous clip, her daughter can be heard telling Melissa she wasn't feeling well and had thrown up, only for Melissa to continue dancing for her live stream audience. "Mom, I just threw up," her daughter says in the video. "You're lying," Melissa responds, barely turning around before continuing to dance to music. When the teen insists she's sick, Melissa seems annoyed at the interruption of her performance. It's these moments of raw, unfiltered negligence that began drawing attention to Melissa's account. And instead of the backlash causing her to reconsider her parenting approach, she seemed to lean into the controversy. After all, controversy meant more viewers, and more viewers meant more money from TikTok donations. And make no mistake, the money was flowing in. Melissa has openly bragged about making over $112,000 in a single 2.5-hour live stream. Let that sink in for a moment. That's more than many Americans make in 2 years, earned by sitting in front of a camera talking to followers. If you're finding this story as unbelievable as I did when I first researched it, make sure to hit the like button and drop a comment with your thoughts. I'm curious to hear what you think about parents who put their social media presence above their children's privacy and well-being. The prison romances. But Melissa's controversial parenting is just the beginning of this disturbing story. What really sets her apart is her well-documented obsession with dating prison inmates, particularly those convicted of violent crimes. Melissa proudly calls herself an inmate hopper, someone who jumps from one prison relationship to another. By her own admission, she's been romantically involved with around 30 different inmates over the years. "You're my 30th inmate," she casually tells one prisoner during a phone call on her live stream. "Did I not tell you that? You really are." But these aren't men serving time for non-violent offenses. Melissa seems particularly drawn to men convicted of murder and other violent crimes. One of her most publicized relationships was with a man named James Green, who was serving multiple life sentences for killing 3 people, including 2 teenage girls. In a particularly chilling live stream, Melissa is on the phone with James, giggling and flirting, when viewers begin commenting about his crimes. The victims were just 13 and 19 years old, one of them the same age as Melissa's younger daughter. Instead of showing any remorse or concern, about her association with someone who murdered girls her daughter's age, Melissa laughs and insists that James is innocent. "Oh my God, guys, he's innocent, and I don't care what y'all say, what y'all think. He's innocent, and y'all are going to see that," she tells her viewers, while James is still on the line. When viewers express shock at her laughing about the deaths of two young girls, she becomes defensive. "Why is it funny?" "Because you guys are sitting there posting it on my stuff. That's why it's funny. Because y'all are making it seem like some man is guilty of that when he has nothing to do with that." The evidence against James, however, tells a different story. Court records show his DNA was found on shell casings at the crime scene. A weapon matching the murders was found in his apartment, along with writings confirming his gang affiliation. He was even caught on video visiting the memorial for his victims, allegedly bragging about the killings. This is just one of many disturbing relationships Melissa has broadcast to her followers, and by extension, to her teenage daughters. If you're interested in more true crime stories that examine the intersection of social media and criminal behavior, check out my other videos by clicking the card in the top right corner of your screen. Making her daughters call inmates. Daddy. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect of Melissa's prison relationships is how she involves her children. In 2019, Melissa married an inmate named Isaiah Rodriguez, who was serving a 45-year sentence for murder, aggravated robbery, and arson. Isaiah was convicted for his role in the robbery and murder of a gas station manager, a father of 7 children. According to court documents, Isaiah and his accomplices ambushed the victim while he was making a night deposit, shot him, dragged his body into the woods, and set his car on fire. Isaiah took $1,000 from the robbery. Despite these horrific crimes, Melissa not only married Isaiah, but brought her daughters, then around 10 and 13 years old, to prison to meet him. On Instagram, she posted pictures of these visits, referring to Isaiah as her younger daughter's daddy. "Today we had the best visit with my husband and her daddy," Melissa captioned one photo of Isaiah holding her younger daughter. "It's always hard leaving him behind. Their bond is unbreakable." Remember, this man is not the girl's biological father. He's a convicted murderer serving a 45-year sentence, who Melissa married and then encouraged her children to view as a father figure. In another post, she wrote, "It's sad when she runs back for one more hug before we leave, but their bond is unbreakable." The psychological impact this must have on her daughters is difficult to comprehend. Imagine being a young teenager and having your mother pressuring you to form a bond with and call daddy a series of violent criminals she's dating or married to. This video is already disturbing enough, but if you want to stay informed about similar cases where children are put at risk, make sure you hit the notification bell. I cover these types of stories because I believe awareness is the first step toward protecting vulnerable kids. Living conditions and neglect. While Melissa appears to have no problem spending money on designer clothes, expensive makeup, and other luxuries for herself, her daughter's basic needs seem to be an afterthought. During a recent interview that went viral, Melissa's older daughter confirmed what many viewers had suspected. The girls don't have proper beds. Instead, they share a single air mattress on the floor. "Well, I don't live with my mom," the daughter initially said when asked about having a bed. When pressed about whether she has a bed at her mother's house, she simply replied, "No." This admission came as Melissa sat nearby, seemingly unbothered by the revelation. When questioned about why her daughters don't have proper beds, despite her lavish spending on herself, Melissa offered various excuses. She wasn't sure what style of bed to get them. She was planning to buy them beds for Christmas. She wasn't sure if they should have bunk beds since they're older. Meanwhile, Melissa regularly flaunts her extravagant spending online. She's shown off receipts for $800 grocery trips, consisting almost entirely of junk food. No fresh produce or nutritious options for her growing daughters. She brags about spending $327 at Cheesecake Factory for 2 people. She shows off her new BMW, her Louis Vuitton bags, including one she paid $33,000 for, and her extensive makeup collection. $3,000 is like dirt to me because I don't need it. It's trash. But if y'all need it, I'll throw it to you, she tells her viewers in one live stream. In another troubling incident, Melissa left her daughters at home to go to Disneyland by herself. When questioned why she didn't take her children to the theme park, she claimed, "My kids do not fly." One of her daughters later contradicted this claim on her own social media, stating she has no fear of flying and doesn't understand why her mother would say that. The contrast between Melissa's self-indulgence and her neglect of her daughter's basic needs paints a disturbing picture. This is a mother who seems to view her children as accessories to her online persona, rather than young people deserving of care, protection, and stability. Before we continue with even more shocking details about this case, take a moment to share this video with someone who might be interested in this important story. The more awareness we raise about situations like this, the better chance we have of helping children in similar circumstances. Emotional abuse and inappropriate behavior. Beyond the material neglect, there are numerous instances of Melissa's emotional abuse and inappropriate behavior toward her daughters. In one live stream, Melissa calls her daughter on FaceTime and asks if she wants lip fillers. When her daughter responds that her lips are big enough, Melissa disagrees and mocks her daughter's appearance. "They're not that big," Melissa tells her daughter, smirking at the camera. In another disturbing clip, her daughter says, "My nose is so perfect," to which Melissa immediately responds, "No, your nose is not perfect. Your nose is either," before cutting herself off. Perhaps most alarming was Melissa's admission on live stream that she used to physically abuse her older daughter out of jealousy. She candidly shared that she would grab her daughter by the hair and yank her to the ground because she felt the child's father showed more attention to his daughter than to Melissa. "I used to pull her by the hair because I was so mad at her," Melissa admitted. "Like, I feel like he loved her more than he loved me, and so I took my anger out on her." When backlash ensued, Melissa attempted to clarify her statements, saying, "The only reason that I pulled her hair was because she ran from me, and I tried to grab her, and instead I grabbed her hair." This explanation did little to address the core issue, a mother admitting to physically abusing her child out of jealousy. There are also disturbing instances of Melissa exposing her daughters to sexually inappropriate content. She frequently displays adult toys in full view during her live streams, even when her daughters are present or likely to walk in. When confronted about this, Melissa angrily responded, "Do they use them? Do they still touch them?" In one particularly troubling incident, her daughter asks about an adult device that's charging, and Melissa responds, "Leave my Rose alone, bro. Leave my Rose alone. She needs me in a little bit." She then asks her daughter what they should name the device, creating an extremely inappropriate interaction. Melissa has also been caught on live stream, engaging in sexually explicit conversations with men while her daughters are in the home, and in some cases, watching her streams. The infamous El Paso incident. One of the most shocking examples of Melissa's reckless behavior was what netizens have dubbed the El Paso incident. For Thanksgiving one year, instead of spending the holiday with family, Melissa drove her daughters 8 hours to El Paso, Texas, to stay with someone she referred to as her tia, aunt. This wasn't actually a relative, but a stranger Melissa had met on TikTok. After arriving in El Paso, Melissa left her daughters, who were reportedly feeling unwell, alone in an Airbnb with instructions to order food delivery for their Thanksgiving meal. Meanwhile, she went out drinking with her internet auntie and friends. While out at a bar, Melissa began live streaming and started taunting another TikTok creator, who was also in El Paso. She mockingly challenged this person to pull up to her location, gave out the specific bar she was at, and continued provoking a confrontation. When the other creator actually showed up at the bar, a physical altercation ensued, resulting in all parties being kicked out of the establishment. Throughout this entire incident, Melissa was live streaming, exposing her viewers, likely including her daughters, to the entire debacle. The situation escalated further when Melissa and her auntie returned to the auntie's house. The auntie's ex-boyfriend and his new girlfriend arrived, leading to another physical altercation which Melissa also live-streamed. During the chaos, she called the police and broadcast the auntie's full residential address to her thousands of viewers, effectively doxing the location where her daughters were staying. Following this incident, the group relocated to Melissa's Airbnb, where her sick daughters were waiting. Rather than attending to her children's needs, Melissa continued live streaming, casually eating fries while her auntie discussed a history of domestic abuse she had experienced. This entire episode demonstrates an astounding lack of judgment and concern for her children's well-being. Not only did Melissa abandon her daughters on a holiday to go drinking with strangers, but she deliberately provoked a physical confrontation, exposed them to dangerous situations, and prioritized live streaming over their safety and care. We're reaching the end of this disturbing story, but before the final section, I want to encourage you to check the description box below for resources on reporting suspected child abuse or neglect. If you ever witness concerning behavior involving children, please don't hesitate to contact the appropriate authorities. The aftermath and ongoing concerns. The most tragic aspect of this entire situation is that despite numerous reports to Child Protective Services, CPS, Melissa's daughters remain in a precarious situation. Melissa has openly bragged about having 20 CPS cases filed against her that resulted in no action. Do you know how many CPS cases I've had on me in the last 4 months, and I still have custody with my kids? She boasted in one live stream. Y'all do understand when you call CPS, you have to have actual proof that they're in an unfit condition, right? This statement is particularly alarming given the mountain of public evidence documenting Melissa's neglect and inappropriate behavior. It highlights a tragic reality of our child protection system. Even with extensive documentation of concerning behavior, removing children from harmful situations is often difficult and lengthy. In recent developments, Melissa has admitted that her younger daughter is currently not living with her full-time, but staying primarily with grandparents. While this might provide some stability for the child, Melissa's continued influence and the public nature of her behavior remain concerning. The older daughter, now 16, has shown signs of distress about her mother's online presence. In a recent interview, she stated she would rather go back to my old life before her mother's TikTok fame, adding that being in the public eye has damaged her self-confidence and forced her to change schools due to unwanted attention. Perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of this story is the lost childhood these girls are experiencing. While their peers are focused on school, friends, and normal teenage activities, they are navigating a chaotic home life that's broadcast to thousands of strangers daily. They're exposed to inappropriate relationships, adult content, and the constant intrusion of their mother's online audience. As viewers and concerned citizens, it's natural to feel helpless watching this situation unfold, but awareness is powerful. By shining a light on cases like this, we create pressure for accountability and change. We remind those in positions of authority that people are watching and expecting action to protect vulnerable children. This story is still unfolding, and I'll continue to follow developments closely. If you want to stay updated on this case and others involving children at risk, make sure you've subscribed to this channel and turned on notifications. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this difficult but important story. Sometimes the most uncomfortable truths are the ones we most need to hear. Remember, if you ever suspect a child is in danger, please contact local authorities or Child Protective Services immediately. One call could make all the difference in a child's life.